Hi guys, in this video I'm going to share that how we are going to take if we want to add some CSS properties to some HTML elements, we have to tag that tag name or class name. As I mentioned before session, we have to take tag name or class name or ID selector. Yes, how we are going to do that? I'm going to tell that in this video. CSS selectors are used to select the HTML elements in CSS. We all know that. In CSS, we have five types. They are universal selector, tag name selector, ID selector, class selector, and group selector. To tell this one, I'm using internal CSS. Okay. I think you all remember that internal CSS, right? In internal CSS, we are going to take style tag in head region. Okay. Later, I have given one HTML element and after I have given some H3 element by stating that okay. After that, I am using paragraph tag. Okay. Later, uh, first I am going to tell about universal selector. Universal selector is used to select the HTML elements which are in the HTML file. For universal selector, we are using star, which represents selection of all elements. While we are using universal selector, we don't want to select one element. It will take all the elements which are present in HTML web page. We have to use star to indicate the universal selector, right? Star. Here I am changing the color of the text to green and background to yellow. Save this file. See, as I mentioned that when we are using universal selector, it is taking the proper it will take the properties to all the elements. That means it is getting background color to all the elements which is present in the web page. It is giving background color to web page, and the text here h1, it is applied to text color which is applied to h1 tag, h3 tag, and paragraph tag. When we are going to select universal selector, it will take all the elements and it gives properties to all these elements. Okay. Next, tag name selector. It is also known as element name selector, which is used to select all the similar elements in tag name selector. While selecting the element in CSS, we use the tag name. I mentioned before example before video that when we want to give specific properties to specific element, we are going to take that tag name and we will give some uh, CSS properties to that tag name. Okay, let's see about that one. We want to consider tag name to give these properties. See here for that h1 element only, it is taken these properties. Okay, if I have given another h1, see this properties also get this h1, right? That means whatever the uh, elements which are present at h1, it will get the properties. In tag name selector, if we select the tag name, the properties will applicable to all that elements which belongs to that specific element. If we select h1, it will applicable to all h1 elements. Okay. If we select paragraph, it will applicable to all paragraph elements. That is tag name selector. Next one is ID selector. To apply CSS property for one tag which is unique than others, we must use ID selector. In ID selector, we must have an attribute which is ID written inside the HTML element. By using the hash followed by the value given for ID selector, we must apply the CSS property. The value of ID attribute must be same as the selector in CSS because it is case sensitive. Okay, let us see one example. If we want in before example tag name selector, or we have seen that this properties is applicable to both the h1 tags, right? If you want to give specific properties to this h1 element and some other specific properties to this h1 element, we can use id selector. It is as given with the attribute id with some value I have stated as cell. Before mentioning that id name, we have to mention hash for this id selector. See, see, here it is only applicable to this h1, right? If you want to give this some properties to this id, I'm selecting one more id and I'm giving that properties to this id. See, we get this id some other properties and some other properties to this id. This is about id selector. and it is case one more point, it is case sensitive. That means whatever the value we have given here, we have to mention here also same value. It is case sensitive. Okay. Now we will going to see about class selector. To apply CSS property for multiple elements but not for all the elements. In that case, we must use class selector. In class selector, we must use an attribute called as class with the HTML element. For class selector, we must use dot symbol while selecting the elements in the CSS properties. See here, I am giving class name as hell, and I am mentioning the class name. We have to indicate this class name by using dot, right? Okay, now I will mention background color as brown. See, I have to give this same property to this paragraph also. I will give this class name to this paragraph, and I will get the same property to this also. ID selector and class selector is same, but in ID selector we are going to give this ID to only one specific element. In class selector we can give this class properties to two or more elements. We can give. Okay. Next, group selectors. To create the group of class selectors, ID selectors, and tag name selectors, we use group selector. All the selectors are separated by using comma. For this group selector, I am going to show you with external CSS. Okay. For external CSS, we want to have one more file, right? Yeah. See here. I'm giving this same properties to H1, H3, and P. Now I will mention H1 we indicated as ID, right? id cell. Okay, id cell, comma, h3 as hell, comma, and I'm giving property to paragraph by using tag name p. For all these elements, I'm giving color as orange and background color as brown. I have saved this file, and we have to link this file to HTML, right? By using link tag. We have to mention relationship as style sheet, and in H reference we have to give the name of this CSS. Not select. Okay, wait. Okay, I will save it again because I forgot to mention document type as all files. So, so I have changed this file. I want to save and save it. I think now it will work. See, it is a the properties has been applied to all the elements. Okay, that's all about selectors.